I'm going to start telling you about my grandma and grandpa Olsen, my father's mother and father.
Time out, hold on.
Okay, I was going to tell you a little bit about my grandma and grandpa Olsen, who lived next door to us in Weston. It was my dad's mother and father, and they were from Norway, so they talked broken English. And my grandma Olsen was this little proper grandma. I guess to describe her, I'll quote something my mother always told about her. She says that you should never let your husband see you in the morning without your makeup on and your lipstick and your hair comb. That's my grandma Olsen. I remember she used to wear these real soft, silky scarves over her head and draped like, you know, the movie stars. She was quite a funny little lady, and she would talk this broken English that was so cute. But my grandpa Olsen was a little more fun than
What
she
were their
was.
What were their first names?
Camilla and Martinez. She called him Martin. That's how she said, Martin. Martin! They were really cute. My grandpa used to chew tobacco. They always had chewing tobacco, and he'd have this spittoon he would spit into. It was a regular big old brass spittoon. But they were really nice. He used to tell us these funny little things with kids, play with us outdoors in the yard. But when I was about fourth or fifth grade, my grandma had a stroke, and it left her paralyzed on all her left side, and so she was bedridden. So they had my aunts, they had 5 girls in their family, so they would take turns along with my dad and my Uncle Parley, who both lived in Weston, and they would come up on the weekends to relieve my dad and Uncle Parley and his wife, and my mother, of course, helping. And so my dad would go down to the train station, and it was usually late at night. They would be coming in from like California or Utah, and Aunt Camilla lived up in Idaho, but they'd have these lanterns, and he would light the lantern, and then he would swing it when the train comes, so they knew to stop. He'd swing it like this, back and forth. And the train would slow down and stop, and my aunt would get off, or one of my aunts, and had their little suitcase. Pretty soon we'd go on up home, and they'd get settled in their room, and it was such a fun time because I finally got to know my aunts, because my mom would go over there. My mom was quite a talker. She always was talking with the neighbors, and she was a visitor. And so I would sit by their feet and just listen to stories about the olden days with them, and they would tell about their lives and what they were doing. I loved when my Aunt Edith came, because she just was hilarious. She was just the funniest lady. She had this big uproar laugh when she said something. She would just laugh and laugh, but she was a smoker. And so I'd sit and watch her smoking too. One smoked cigarette after another, smoking. Of course, you know, when you're a little kid and you never see people smoking, you sit there fascinated with her.
Yeah.
But she lived in that bed for 8 years. Before she died, and she had quite a slow process of death. They finally got a lady that used to come in, and they used to be our best friends too. They were just like our aunts. In fact, one of them actually married my cousin after my grandma died, Ruth Mendenhall. She was a really nice lady. She used to take care of my grandma and grandpa. My dad would go over and bathe them and take care of them that way and see that things are fixed. And she would see to their bathing, or my grandma's bathing, and she would feed them and take care of them that way. She was just there in case something happened. She was a fun lady. We would go over there a lot, and she'd come over to our place and visit. So we got to know her real well. It was quite a different time in her life to have that stroke, and to see what they do nowadays with stroke victims. I'm sure that she would have, if they had therapy in that, she probably wouldn't have been in that condition. But it was fun to go over there. Finally, my grandpa was confined to a wheelchair. He did have a cane for quite a while. He had a little cane, and He'd try and walk with the cane, but then finally he was confined to a wheelchair too. But it was fun living next door to your grandma and grandpa. I enjoyed that. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Take it off for a minute. Okay, when we got to go to junior high, we got to go to Dayton, to a brand new school, and it was combined with the high school. We didn't go with the high school students, but we had a lot of activities that we got to share with the high school. But they kept the junior high separate in another part of the high school, and we had to ride up on a bus to the school. It was kind of fun to go on a bus to school. We got have to be there and run to the bus. I remember a lot of times we were sure running. Thank goodness our next door neighbor was the bus driver, so he would wait for us. But it was fun to have different teachers, because usually in grade school you just had the one teacher. So every class we'd go from one to the other and have different subjects that we would take, and I enjoyed that and get exposed to more subjects. We had homemaking, wood shop, and of course we had the standards. We had algebra and math, sciences, history, all those things, English. But, had some great teachers. A lot of them were my neighbors. Brother Palmer was one of my teachers. He was the next door neighbor, and Brother Porter. I guess I shouldn't call them brothers. They were Mr. Porter, Lyle Porter. That was Calvin's dad, and Brother Palmer was Judy's dad. Some of my best friends, so I had them for teachers. One was English and one was a history teacher. And we got to go to the sporting events and do things like that. And we used to have assemblies, and so I did a lot of dancing and singing. So my friend and I used to perform at the assemblies all the time. They'd get us to do some singing and dancing, so we'd wear some of our costumes, or else we'd come up with some. Like I remember one we did 5'2" Eyes of Blue. We put on some costumes for that. So we had a lot of fun doing things in high school. I started dating in high school. I had or junior high. I remember one date. I wasn't too interested in the boys. I got a date for this dance, and I was out with the bonfire. It must have been in the fall because we were burning leaves or something, roasting hot dogs and marshmallows. And my mother says, "Tamara, you got to come in and get ready for this date. They're going to be here any minute." And he had his parents drive us, so that was really fun, wasn't it? Anyway, I didn't want to go, but I thought, okay, I better go get ready. And I remember the dress and everything, with the smoke in my hair, spraying on perfume and deodorant, the whole bit, throwing on this dress we used to wear in those days, which was very popular. We would have 3 or 4 net petticoats underneath, and we'd starch them so that the skirts would stand out, and then you'd have round scoop necks, and then you'd have a real tight waist, and then it would flare out. We'd have a real full skirt over those petticoats. I remember the dress was white with some little gray and black flowers and really tiny ones. It was just a really beautiful dress. So I put that on, and here I was. So the kid come to the door. I was trying to think what his name was. Mortensen, that's what it was. Grant Mortensen, that was his name. And in fact, his dad was the stake president of another stake. And they were asking me all these things, and I say yes, no, yes, no. Trying to get me to talk, I guess.
The non-talker that she is.
So we went to the dance, and you know, when we used to dance, we would dance slow dancing at first. They didn't have all the jitterbug and that. They started a little later on, and we'd go in a circle, around and around and around. Pretty soon your one hip was hurting like crazy. We didn't talk much because we were both embarrassed to death being on first dates. So finally, when the night came, we got back in his mother and dad's car, and they drove us home. And I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. I got out, he just says, you know, you think, I wonder if he's going to kiss me at the door or something. You know, I don't want him to do that. So when we got there, I says, well, thanks for the date. And I opened the door and ran up the steps. I didn't even wait for him to open the door or anything.
Especially
Who
with
was it?
And that was my first date.
That was
I
Daryl?
think it was about 7th grade.
Did you go out with him again?
Oh, probably not.
I guess he had to get his parents' approval for everything.
Well, my dad was a bishop. I guess they thought I must be a pretty good girl if my dad was a bishop. And they knew my folks. So, that was funny, crazy times. I had quite a few little boyfriends at that time. You know, that's the kind of time when you're experimenting with little hearts and little roses, little valentines. So we had kind of fun. We'd always sit by each other if we liked each other. Pretty soon they'd be saying, you know who likes you? Who likes me? Oh, so-and-so said to so-and-so that he likes you. That's kind of how it went.
Tell him about how
So we'd sit together at all
At church.
assemblies and
at
things.
church too. We didn't used to sit with families at church.
No, we didn't. We'd sit
We'd
with
sit
our
with-
friends.
With our friends, and we'd sit in the back
Yeah,
2 or 3
make-
rows.
Little chattery noises. As soon as the sacrament was over, we'd like write little whispery notes.
Put our heads down
Whisper
behind the bench
quietly.
and chatter the whole time.
But we had sacrament late at night, you know. You got to remember that too.
Mm.
We went from Sunday school, and then we'd have all afternoon, and then we'd have sacrament at night. So our sacrament started like
Yay.
7 or 7:30 at night.
Mhm. That's why you didn't always sit with your family.
Yeah, it was different than nowadays. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I got to draw a lot because I had an art teacher. Oh, I'll never forget though. The art teacher brings back memories. Everybody's scared of her because I think she had a problem. She was always screaming, mostly at boys. But you know, if you're a tender, shy little girl, you think she's mad at you too. And I'll never forget. I had a lot of trouble with my periods. I'd get sick every month with them. And my mother took me to the doctor, and I found out that my I wasn't flowing properly or something. He says, well, it'll help when she has a baby. So I had to put up with it all this time. But a lot of times I was so sick it would make me throw up. And I remember one time when your dad was saying about throwing up. I remember I was so scared in this art class to tell her I was sick. I knew I was going to throw up. I could feel it coming. I threw up. That's the most embarrassing thing to do in front of other kids, your own peers. It's just like, oh, I am dead. I am dead. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to face these people again. I was so scared of her that I couldn't tell her that I was sick and needed to go to the restroom. So I went to the
Do you remember,
nurse's
what did she
office.
do?
She took me to the nurse's office. The nurse knew what was the matter because my mother sent me. They keep saying, don't send her on these days. You know she's going to get sick. So they call my mother, and of course I told you she doesn't like to drive. So she would tell Vera to take me home. Vera was the cook. That was one of her best friends, so I'd have to wait till Vera gets off at 2 o'clock. So I'd lay there sick until Vera says, okay, I'm ready to go, Tamara. She'd take me home.
Grandma.
Anyway, junior high is quite an experience for children. You're just really starting to find yourself, and I loved it though. We had the best friends. There was not very many of us, about 27 of us, or 30, sometimes, you know, it varied, 30 or 27, something like that. But they were the best of friends, wonderful friends. We used to get together after. In fact, I think we had more fun as this little girls set that we had. There was about 15 of us, and we just had the best time together, getting together with different things and laughing and giggling and slumber parties and just having the best time. They were wonderful girls. They were all LDS. And of course, we had the outcasts, like everybody does, the ones that are a little wild. I think everybody has those. But it was was a fun time in junior high.
Do you have any other, your second date? Do you remember any other dates?
Oh,
Too many to name.
Just little dances and things like that, and golden green balls. And,
When did you start learning the jitterbug?
do you know, I don't think we ever did the jitterbug till I got in college and I took a dance class. I think it was always that dang slow dancing. We just didn't have too much rhythm, I guess. It was just round.
So in a big, big circle,
around,
everybody,
slow dancing.
no
What do you
fast
call that,
songs?
Bruce? Two-step? What did we do? Oh, it's just one back
It's kind of
slide.
around and around in a big hall.
Back,
There were
slide.
big
I don't remember.
gymnasiums.
You know, it's funny though, that like in high school, because it was just starting in with Elvis and all of them. With all the, it's funny
Yeah.
we didn't have all that jitterbug.
Jitterbug.
But I sure do remember it in college. Oh man, we had fun. I'll tell you that when we hit college.
Okay.
We loved to dance.
Okay.
It was great.